Hi and welcome back to another episode of the Canary Room. For the next, at least 4 episodes, I've got a real treat for you. We've been on the road over the last 6 weeks or so. We've been visiting some of the top fanciers across the UK and visiting their bird rooms, seeing some of their birds up close and looking at their husbandry techniques, their breeding techniques. So kind of action-packed top tips. So first up today, we're on our way to Darfield to see a very good friend of mine, Gerald Spencer, and Gerald Stud of Fife Canaries. We visited Gerald at the back end of August, so the birds that you'll see today are, still deep into the molt, but you can start to already see the quality of those birds coming through. Next up in the Canary Room, we will be over in the northeast at the shed of Kenny Masterman. Kenny has a stunning collection of redpolls. And a couple of other surprises as well, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. And then we'll go and see the family Kendall, the Kendall Stud, down in the Midlands, and the Kendall Stud, the strong sort of Fife Canaries there. Some really good redpolls as well, some parrot crossbills which are stunning. In fact, a whole menagerie, a little bit like the Canary Room, so we'll see the entire family Kendall. And then you're in for a real treat. One of the legends, and I don't use that word loosely, of the Norwich Canary fancy. It is, of course, Mr. Keith Ferry. I went down to see Keith with Adam from the Kendall Stud. And we've got what will be a stunning show from Keith's, looking at some of his fantastic Norwich Canaries. So we've got a couple more visits in the pipeline as well. So as always, stay tuned for the Canary Room for that. The visits are made possible really thanks to your generosity. I've got a long list of thank yous today, and if you are able to and you can, make a donation to the channel, it's very much appreciated. The money that you donate to the channel gets invested back in to the production of the Canary Room, so I really appreciate that. It's a thanks to some familiar names, to Rob Elkin, to Michael Burling, to Martin Gentles. Thanks also to Debbie Stout for your very kind donations, and a couple of other thank yous to make as well for their very kind donations, to George Katsadonis. George, I hope I pronounced the surname correctly, and to Beethoven Delason. Again, Beethoven, I hope I've pronounced the name correctly there. As I say, thank you very much for your donations to the show. They make things like On the Road possible, or more possible for me. If you are able to, on the home screen of our YouTube channel, in the top right hand corner, there's a little donate button. If you're able to make a donation to the show, it's very much appreciated. Sit back and enjoy a trip today on the road, and stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button too. We've got some stunning episodes of the show to look forward to. As always, grab yourself a cuppa and enjoy the show. It is all too familiar video view, isn't it? Me sat in a car with a check shirt on my way to something to do with the birds. So today is a long-awaited trip to go and see the bird room of arguably one of the most successful breeders and exhibitors of the Fife Fancy Canary for the last 2 decades. That man, of course, is Gerald Spencer. We've got a trip over to Darfield, which is just on the outskirts of Barnsley. and it's going to take us a couple of hours in the car. I've got all the filming equipment. While we're there, I'm also hoping to collect a fawn hen, a self-fawn hen that I had my eye on last year. Gerald was keeping it, but true to his word, he said, if it goes next year, you can have it. It looks like I'm going to strike lucky with that, so that'll be a really good addition to the cinnamon line. And what I've also got is a couple of yellow hens I picked up last year. I'm looking to just check back on some of the parentage of those birds, so when I do my breeding program for 2021, which is very much in mind at the moment, I can make sure that I've got the right birds together. I'm not too close, but again, I'm not using completely and utterly unrelated pairs. So, Canary Room, we're back on the road. Come on, let's see your beautiful smiling face.
I can't smile.
Look, he's broken. He's broken the camera. He's broken the camera. Just ignore the camera, because don't look at the camera, look at me.
Look at thee.
Look at me. Because I'm the beautiful one.
Right.
That's why. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, it's gone quiet in here. Welcome back to a special on-the-road episode of the Canary Room with arguably the most successful Fife fancier for the last at least 2 decades. It is the Darfield Darling. Should we call you the Darfield Darling? No, I doubt it as well. It is, of course, the very camera-shy Mr. Gerald Spencer. I've been here for at least 2 hours already filming his birds, and I've only just persuaded him to get onto camera and told him to pretend there isn't a camera there. So thank you for I was going to say thanks for inviting me, mate, but you didn't, did you? I've badgered you.
I've been wanting to come
for about
5 or 6 weeks, and you shouldn't be here at this minute, to be honest, because the birds aren't ready. They need another week, 2 or 3 weeks at least.
They do, but the birds look, as you'll see from the footage later in the show, the birds look fantastic. So, Gerald, I've known you for nearly 20 years, which is terrifying, because I had hair, I think, when I first met you, and I was slim.
I don't think so.
No,
that's slimmer now.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, to be honest.
I'm fatter now.
Yeah. Although still sporting some...
I feel a bit rough today.
Fetching some very good grey jumpers. You've been, a little bit like me, renowned for your fashion sense.
Everybody knows it.
Yeah. So you are, renowned for Fife Canaries, but that wasn't your first breed, was it? What did you start out with?
How'd I come into this to keep canaries? I mean, my dad used to have... We had allotment, but he had budgies, which is not my cup of tea. I wouldn't keep them. That'd be the last bird I'd keep, and he had Gloucesters. But I'd come in to get some birds. I says to the wife, and I'd own a little shed. I said, I'm going to get some birds. And she said, my mate at work, her husband breeds and shows canaries. I said, well, ask him if there's any for sale. And what there was, I was going to give you some, that's what he said. And what they turned out to be were 2 Norwich, and there were 2 Norwich cocks. So I said, where am I going to get some hens from? He says, Tommy Patterson, who's a well-known fella who's in Terry Kelly's book. And I went and got 2 hens off him, and one, he got 3, he showed me 3, but one had got a slip claw. Anyway, I got 2 off him, and really that's how I started going down to Tommy's. I got 1 or 2 off him, like I said, a fiver and one thing and another. And then I said to Tommy, I'm going to go into this rate. And I'd been watching this partnership called Leake and Marshall. And he said, I've been watching this father and son. And that's where I went. And I got 5 pair. And that's the only time I've ever bred them in pairs. And I had one bird, a variegated, a purple 36, bred with that for 5 years. I was doing all right on show bench, but I won't pulling no trees up. And I rung this Johnny Garvey from Darlington. I rung him up. He said, I'm taking some to shows. Well, I think that's a mistake for anybody to buy birds out at the back of a car. You want to go to their place, really, and see their birds. But I said, I'll have a look. And there were two birds what stood out. A self-green buffcock, which were red ring 20, and a variegated yellow hen with no ring on. I says, can I have them two? And it was that green buffcock that got me up and running. Just for one season, I lost it. And I've probably, I don't know, over 2 or 3 years, I probably had a dozen of him. And that's how I got going, and just gone from there.
Yeah.
And then I met the keeps robbing me every time he comes here. He's got his box on the floor here, but he's getting out in it.
The box is there. When he's gone into the kitchen, it'll be full.
I know every bird in here. I can go in here and swizzle them all around, and I'll come back in and I'll put them back in the same cage.
Yeah, and in case you think he's joking, he isn't. You know, I came into the shed this morning and Gerald said to me, oh, it's Aki in here.
It is.
And honestly, it is cleaner in here than the vast majority of bird rooms I've ever been in, and this is Gerald's Aki. So it is, but...
It is. There's some cages which I'm not happy with. They come in how they are.
Yeah. And they are, and you know, the bird room itself is pristine, so let's have a little look round it now, and then we'll come back to our sweetness and light Mr. Spencer himself. So, I think it's fair to say, you know, Gerald's been at the pretty much top of the game for the last couple of decades, and I asked him off camera just before what the secret to his success is, and he's a very modest man, Mr. Spencer, and his response was, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see if we can. So you don't run. I mean, you mentioned in our introduction, you don't run pairs anymore.
There's no pairs.
No pairs at all. So you know, in a normal season, how many cockbirds would you run with?
I try to keep, you know, 50-50 yellow and buff. Maybe a dozen.
Dozen cockbirds and
cocks.
20, 30 hens. 30 hens.
If I'll go for 30 hens, but I might keep 33. Just there's some, well, as you know, some don't breed. Some you only get 1 and 2 often.
Yeah. Some aren't afraid to die. Yeah. So in terms of your, you know, when you're looking, because you mentioned before you bred out of a bird, one bird for 5 years. So you will keep a number of your flighted birds, will you? Do you have a number that you have in your mind that you'll keep, or will you just? Will you just keep the best ones, or the ones that have bred the really nice birds for you?
In here, if you look now, Matt, I mean, my oldest cock is 4-year-old. There's not many that's going into the 3rd year at breeding. They're all either 2-year-old, or I might get 1 or 2 others for another year, but more often than not, I only keep them 2 years.
Yeah.
Just keep moving on, because birds are changing. They're different. I don't keep that many. I don't keep many cinnamons to breed. I keep what I like as the best bird, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And in terms of the colours, I mean, you've mentioned cinnamons. You've always had strong allied to whites. You've got some nice fawns in the shed now. I'm hoping to leave with one in my box, viewers. So, we'll see. I think the words are no chance, Matt. But we'll see. We'll see how we get on. But you've got. Colours wise, you've when I first met you, you were, very successful with your dark birds. And as I look at your shed now, the volume and the number of clear birds that you've got has increased massively. And you've done, incredibly well on the show bench with the clears. I think you won the Federation show with a clear last year,
which wasn't the best one.
Which wasn't the best one.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. It was the buff end. The clear buff end was the best.
It wasn't even in the first 7.
So in terms of the clears, was that something that you've done sort of deliberately, or is that just how the stud has evolved over a period of time?
So I thought I'd go in for these clears, and I just took it from there.
And so, I mean, one of the things that you have managed to do is you've managed to put the stamp of your green birds on a clear. So, your clear birds are, the same shape, the same style, the same, class really as your variegated and dark birds. Is that something that you've done deliberately? Did you start off with a green and pair it to a clear, or did you start with a really good clear?
That's how they've come, really.
So you just lighten them up over a period of time.
That's all I've done. I mean, I've had some decent clears over years, but I never concentrated on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet Terry Kelly at one at shows, and he mentions it in his book and on his thing, but he never mentioned bird that bet him.
Well, we put that right now. It was Gerald's.
And like I say, I'll sell birds to anybody. I mean, I showed four variegated yellow cocks at North of England, which is, in my opinion, it's still the show to win. And in my other opinion, the second show on circuit to win is Southern England. Even though Midlands is bigger numbers, I still say that Southern England's the second show to win. A lot of Southerners, I mean, they don't come up north to show. You know that, man.
Yeah.
You know that. They just don't. But Southern England, I mean, North Wales has took off. Dave Shelbourne did a good job at getting that up and running.
He did,
and from that, with David Shelbourne, I mean, you can't knock him for a presentation of the show and one thing and another, Matt. You can't, but he set that show going, and I mean, where it is now, well, where it was the last couple of years, it's a good venue, isn't it? You can get round on one thing and another. Plenty of parking. I mean, where it was before, it was shocking. Your boxes were outside.
Yeah, you had to keep your elbows tucked in, didn't you?
You did, aye.
I can see out the corner of my eye, ladies and gents, I can see me fawn hen in the flight. So let's cut this here while I go and rob it. Look at him, there he is in camera. He's look at him. We're like two bookends, the pair of us.
I should have had a shave and that.
You should have done, yeah. You should have had a shave, but you haven't. You haven't made an effort for the viewers, and I'm sure they'll forgive you for that because you've got some stunning birds, and for no other reason. So we are, deep in the end of August, beginning of September, as we're filming the show, and. Gerald's feeding regime. We've just been chatting it through. You're giving the sort of egg food still in finger drawers to the birds every day.
Every day.
Yeah. And what are you making? What egg food is it you use?
My egg food, it consists from eighths. I've used it every year since I've started, apart from 1 year, and that's been rain and condition food from eighths. I find it. If you want to hand feed with that rain and condition, just put it in a sieve, put it over a plate. It mixes smashing stuff. What I've been using I've been 50-50 with that and CD.
It's got a lovely smell in it, CD, hasn't it?
Aye, I mean, I used to use Orlux, Matt. I used to love Orlux. You could eat it, but it went downhill.
Yeah, it did.
It really went downhill. So I went on to CD, and first time I ever used it. It's about 3-4 years now. But before that, were Orlux. My dad used to use CD, but up to 3 years since I'd never used it. I used that from eighths, which I recommend that to anybody for that.
Yeah.
And for price of it, for 20 kilograms, that rain and condition, it's cheaper than drinking CD way a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are you mixing your egg food with?
Well, I've got my couscous and bulgur wheat, which I just put in a cup, boiling water on. Then I have soya beans and petit pois. Yeah. I'm good at saying that, aren't I?
You are, yeah, very good.
And broccoli, it just goes in my mixer.
Yeah.
I started putting carrot in when they were youngsters in nest. I've stopped that now. I don't know why, I'm just starved.
Yeah.
Aggie and broccoli in youngsters in cages, and an apple, bit of cucumber now and again, and like where hens are now, I'll put some half oranges in for them. They like that.
And that seems to be, that seems to work for you in getting them through.
It does. I mean, I've always said Cracker tonic. I still use Cracker tonic. It's expensive, and what they've done now, they've made it too expensive, sort of thing. But I still recommend that. It's different. It's a different Cracker tonic now to what it used to be. It's not as. I don't think it's as good now. But there you go. And I mix that in with my egg food, along with some wild seed from Bayers. It's 50-50.
Yeah.
Basically that's it.
And if you were to start again with birds, and you decided that you've done everything you want to do with Fifes, where would your next step be?
It'd be British.
Yeah.
Right, to shadow it out, be British. Not these green finches what they're showing now and things like that, but it would be British, we had to doubt.
Well, we've got plenty of British on in the canary room, so maybe we could swap for some of your birds.
Red Paul Diaries.
Yeah. See, he's a fan of the show. He doesn't like to admit it, but he is.
I put it on and I laugh.
He won't be laughing now, will he? Wait till he sees what I do in the edit. I'll need me bleeper out. He's actually been very...
Yeah, I've been good, haven't I?
You have been very good on camera. It's been unlike you.
Like I said, wife said I've got Tourette's.
Yeah. yeah. Anyone who knows Gerald will know that is no word of a lie.
Well, over the last few years, which I'm happy with now, what judges is picking, they've come down in size, which they should do.
Yeah.
They've been picking big birds, fronty birds, terrible things.
Yeah.
But now, over the last few years, they've started picking smaller birds.
Yeah.
And when you look at size of that bird, what it is, Well, it's not that size anyway, is it? What we're showing now, but it's we should be aiming for smaller type of birds. It's easier to breed big birds, Matt.
Yeah, it is.
No,
it absolutely is, and it's it's an interesting thing, isn't it? In terms of the way that the bird, the Fife, has developed, and like you say, the last few years, I think noticeably we've seen smaller type of birds winning, which is good for everybody who likes the smaller type of bird. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. I know that you don't like doing pieces to camera, so thank you for doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the show.